and is still mystifying audiences decades later. What about you, Guy? Any question?
You guys, I think I did correct. What about you, Guy? Hey, Guy.
I saw a guy and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a reference I didn't pick up on.
Either.
Don't call me Guy, buddy.
Oh, no, Guy. Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood and film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are a guy too busy being a smart aleck to be thinking, and a guy who's driving this buggy, Martin and Brady.
When you see the girl in the picture that was shown to you earlier today, you will say, "This is the girl." The rest of the cast can stay. That's up to you. But that lead girl is not up to you. Now, you will see me one more time if you do good. You will see me two more times if you do bad. Good night.
Well, I couldn't afford a place like this in a million years. Unless, of course, I'm discovered and become a movie star. Of course, I'd rather be known as a great actress than a movie star. But you know, sometimes people end up being both. So that is, I guess you'd say, sort of why I came here.
This week, we honor the late David Lynch by finally watching one of his movies that isn't called Dune. We're stepping into the twisted world of Mulholland Drive. It might not be the best intro to the uninitiated, but it sure is a great representation of Lynch at his Lynchiest. And that's saying a lot for a guy who built a career out of unsettling beauty, fractured identities, and the thin veil between dreams and nightmares. This 2001 masterpiece defies easy explanation and lingers in the mind long after the credits roll, and is still mystifying audiences decades later. What about you guys? Any questions? Or do you know exactly what was going on the whole time?
I think Brady's pretty much got this one down. I'm actually kind of dying to know if he enjoyed it at all or if he just completely hates it.
I feel like we talked about this. Jelani, you'd seen this or no?
I have seen this.
You had seen it.
Surprised because he owns it.
I own them.
Oh, that's right.
He owns it on DVD, but it doesn't mean anything.
100%.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if he had seen
Loyal
it or
listeners
not.
know owning the DVD does not equate to
Yeah.
a movie
He
scene.
might have just been like, Naomi Watts.
No, it was not in Naomi Watts why I bought this movie.
Actually, I want to know. Now I'm intrigued. Why did you buy it? Bargain bin?
So
David Lynch.
I bought it probably just because I seen it like, I don't know, because this is what, 2001,
Yeah.
I was in college, just a Tuesday.
Oh, you saw it in the theater.
No, I didn't see it in the theater,
Oh.
but this is probably just one of those ones that kind of like came across your mind like, hey, it's something weird, something different.
Yeah.
And then,
It certainly is.
yeah.
that.
And then Laura Herring was the reason
Oh.
I bought it.
What do you know her from?
I didn't.
Oh.
I just saw it and I was like,
Oh,
let me
okay.
see more of
I
her.
gotcha.
It's got a shape to her.
Let me see more of her. And I got to.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good reason to buy it.
As we alluded to, so I had not seen this movie. I was
Ever?
ever. So I'm pretty sure I rented it, maybe even from Redbox at one point. Like, okay, I've got to see this movie. I've heard about it over the years,
Yeah.
and if I remember correctly, I quit and turned it off, and I was like,
I could see that easily.
I could see that.
That being said, watching it, I don't really remember anything. So I don't know if I just mixed
It
up
was
my
a
movies.
dream-like
It was,
watching experience.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
No, I figured you guys. Well, Jelani, like, dislike, hate.
I don't hate it,
Okay.
but
I'm closer to hate.
Yeah, I figured you were closer to hate.
it really. I watched it again, and I'm still very, very confused. And again, I'm trying to figure out what is the draw to David Lynch.
I have a theory on why this is. Is it fair to say this is a cult classic?
I mean, I think a lot of his movies are. So yeah, this one's probably got the most. It's probably the least culty in that it got
Right.
a lot of.
Recognition.
Yeah, it got like for whatever reason it clicked more than some of his other movies.
There's
do.
like you look it up and it's like, oh, this thing called it the best movie ever made. This
Right.
movie called it
Yeah.
one of the
Yes.
most intriguing movies ever.
There was a
directed.
thing
and I'm
because-
like, what the fuck?
Because if you go back, like you have Eraserhead, which is really strange, and he did Elephant Man, I want to say, which is not
Yes,
so
correct.
strange, but like Eraserhead, Lost Highway, and Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, and then Twin Peaks, the show, which
Yeah.
got a lot of people like in America
Which
just intrigued.
this was derived out of.
Yeah, the whole yes,
There
I could
was
see that.
there was at least an idea, I think, when he wrote it. I saw where it was while he was doing Twin Peaks, he kind of came up with the idea for this, and there was a thought at one point that it could be associated with one of the girls in the show, which I didn't watch, so
that
I can't
makes sense.
correlate to that. But even the weirder part, I thought, is this was written
Weirder than the way you said that.
as a TV movie,
It was.
and they, or I'm sorry, it was essentially it was written as like a premiere.
Okay.
And then they went back and like supposedly like gave some finality to it all in
Yeah.
order to like make it a movie. I would argue they didn't, but it's just very. I think the best theory that I could come up with is that people that like this movie really like it because there's no explanation whatsoever, and they just love the fact that there is a movie with no
So ambiguous.
yes, that is just there are no answers for.
well,
That's my guess.
I think Jelani's question is more: how does David Lynch keep getting away with this stuff? It's kind of I've had that thought through the years. Like, how does he keep? I don't know how he got a show like Twin Peaks made and got played on ABC and got America into watching it. Like there were people. I was too young at the time,
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember people were like, "Oh, who killed?" There was the whole
Yeah.
"who killed Laura Palmer" thing. And it was, it intrigued people. So I think that's what kind of led to him being able to
Was
do
it
whatever
the
the fuck he
Dallas
wants.
for its age?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, for like the 90s. And the 90s were a strange
Before we
time
got
back
to
then.
Who Killed Mr. Burns.
But it's, yeah, exactly. And
Or shot Mr.
Martin,
Burns.
shot Mr.
Martin
Burns?
couldn't figure out why people liked this weird show on ABC, and meanwhile he's watching Erie, Indiana on CBS.
yeah, let's see that. Is that CBS or
I was
NBC?
going to
Who
say
knows?
NBC, but
I
yeah,
thought
they
it was-
you
they
were doing
reference-
Picket Fences
Who Shot
I
Burns?
watched them both.
or American Gothic.
Yeah, I watched all of those. A little bit of American Gothic, not as much, but Picket Fences for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know that references Twin Peaks? That's why you said "Who Shot Mr. Burns"? Or
Yeah.
okay, I didn't even know because they do the whole backwards talking, but it's Chief Wiggum. So yeah, he does. He's famous for these dream sequences. I mean, this movie's not that hard to explain. I
So
don't
is
think.
Really?
is everything up until the apartment, like when Naomi Watts flips
When she
like,
goes into the blue box,
the blue box, right?
Yeah,
everything
that-
up into the blue box is a dream,
it's a dream.
She
Yeah,
goes
that's
into
it.
the blue box.
I mean, whatever.
or the blue box opens up, or
That's
the
the
key goes in.
because that's
It's all a dream. That's when she wakes up or whatever. She wakes up from the dream.
But why was she in the dream? So that's what I was trying to figure out. Is it because she was like this is the dream / overdose kind of like
So there's.
fantasy?
Let me just say, David Lynch.
It's very
he
clear
doesn't
and
explain.
obvious, you
Yeah,
say
I
so.
know. I'm just. I was being facetious, but It's also great that he doesn't explain himself at all. He's like, it's all.
This is my point. I think that everyone leans into the fact that they're like,
Yeah.
he makes weird movies. We love it because we
Yeah.
don't give a shit. You don't
Yeah.
need to have.
Yeah.
We don't need explanations in our lives.
There is an element of that, but
Fucking
I feel
hippies.
like this. But I feel like this one is like if you go to if you guys watch Lost Highway, you would be like that one. People change and morph into other people, and you're like, what the fuck? Is
I no
happening?
longer have any interest in watching Lost Highway.
So that one, I feel like that was like a precursor to what happens here. This one's a little more coherent than that, which is, I know you guys might be looking at me like, what the fuck? But yeah, essentially you got it right. Yeah, that's,
Okay.
you see her going into the pillow, laying down, and then everything after that is the dream. So it's
Or is the dream on the front end?
on the front end, but that's what I'm saying, and the pillow is right in the beginning. You probably didn't even really notice it. Like they just go over the bed, and it's like a point of view of whatever, and then it kind of zooms in on the pillow, and then you see like the following scene of her driving or whatever. But essentially, you're right. It's all just a dream. It's a fantasy and then you figure it out at the end. That's why I think makes it a good movie is that you do see all the people that she meets in real life that are part like whatever show up in her dream, like Kershers, Justin Theroux's mom.
Yeah.
Is the landlady, and a bunch of other people. The guy in the restaurant, the guy that she just randomly sees in the restaurant, is the guy talking about that scary monster
Yeah, but
behind the
that's
restaurant.
the thing.
And it wasn't her.
That doesn't
she wasn't
make
in
sense.
There. Yeah, in what way?
Okay.
It's just a dream. It's just her random dream.
Yeah, but
She's
why-
dreaming about
okay.
some guy who would be
Who's
scared.
having his own dream,
Right,
talking
right.
about being scared.
Right. Because he doesn't want to face what's back there, and that's representing her, what she's done, that she killed the woman that she loved.
Okay.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's up for, again, there's no I'm not saying I'm right or
So my question then is, if this is the dream sequence, like,
yeah.
what is with the whole like let's talk about the picking of the girls, like the cast.
Yeah.
Like, why does the guy spit the
So
cappuccino out? Is that supposed to be
cappuccino, I have no
Espresso.
idea.
the espresso?
The espresso, I
Dan
have no
Hedaya
idea
is
why.
screaming, yelling after he opens his briefcase
Yeah.
and then closes it.
Yeah,
like,
there's just some weird shit like that.
The
I don't
weird
know.
shit that I was like, there's just, I have a lot of weird things that don't make any sense at all. Like, why is there a conversation about a dog shitting in a courtyard that leads to talk of a guy having a kangaroo and the crazy things that kangaroo did in a courtyard?
Random stuff
Okay,
from a
sure.
dream.
Fine.
And it's
Random
all those
dialogue.
those couple little things like that, like the shit is just like showing that, because if you notice Naomi Watts coming in, it's like all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed,
Yeah.
like, and it's just fake. It seemed fake. The music sounds like it's all swelling. And she's like, I'm gonna make it in Hollywood. Like, there's no way you're watching the scene, you're like, wow, this is amazing acting. Like, there's a reason why it's there that way, because it is her dream, her fantasy of how she wanted Hollywood to be for her. Instead, she's not a great actress. She was second fiddle to this other woman, and only got parts because she vouched for her or
friends,
whatever, was
yeah.
friends with her, friends with Camilla.
So then is that whole like Camilla ending up in the apartment, that's part of her like psychosis of like, that's how I feel like I can have a step up over her, or like
Camilla ending in which apartment?
Why she starts in
why
the
she
apartment.
starts in the
She
apartment,
ends
why
up
she
at her
gets in the
aunt.
car
Oh,
accident.
that's all just a dream. Yeah, it's like, this is how, if well, it's not Betty, her name's Diane, right?
Right.
The real person, Diane Selwyn, she was fantasizing about just meeting the idealized version of this woman that she loved. That's all just pure sex appeal, and
Yeah, it is.
doesn't I mean that there's that element too that keeps I think keeps people involved. It's like there is just a very clear like
Yeah,
sexual tension. You're like, are they going to make out? And then they do.
I didn't hate the movie.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, essentially, it's just her idealized version,
How
dream
they
version
should have met.
of how, yeah, and in her dream, she's this amazing actress, right? That
Crushes it in her audition.
crushes it in her audition. It really does. I mean, that was
Yeah.
actually a pretty good scene, right? Up until I gotta admit, so I've only seen this movie twice. I saw it in the theater when it came out. And I did like it then. I remember thinking like, wow, this is one of his more coherent movies of his strange stuff. But I wanted to watch it again right away, but I never did. So like this time as I was about halfway through it, I'm like, oh man, they're not going to like this at all. I'm like, I remember this being better than it was. But then when it got to that scene, I'm like, I remember liking what I liked about it. And then by the end, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. This actually does have, and it made more sense.
Hold on, my
a second
laundry
viewing.
list of things that are weird as shit
Yeah,
that don't
yeah.
have a lot of explanation. Why the hitman kills a guy and a girl and a janitor for a black
That was
book.
a great scene too.
Someone bit me. Bit me real good or something wrong.
Did you recognize the hitman?
I
did,
do
but
recognize
I
it.
can't think of from what.
Mark,
Is he a McPoyle or something?
Took the words. He's not a McPoyle. That's amazing. But
It's it's Mark Pellegrino as the actor from
from the
Lebowski.
Waterline.
Your
He
name's
is from
Lebowski.
Lebowski.
he is from Lebowski, but
I
he's
just
also
came
from
to me.
Lost.
Oh yeah, he's
He's-
Jacob, right? Or not
he's-
Jacob. He's
Not Jacob. He's the
Man
he's the
in
counterpoint.
White.
He's Titus Welliver's the Man in Black.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Counterpoint.
that's right. He
But
is
you're
in
right.
Lost.
Lebowski is the true.
Lebowski's
the true.
Your name's Lebowski.
So yeah, you have this weird hitman
Okay.
story. Okay, so maybe he's just it's emphasizing the
that
fact
was
that
the
he's a
person.
hitman.
Yeah, that was the person that she hired. So that again, we're in the dream there. So I think she's just imagining why he's just an inept hitman.
Yes.
and that's why he didn't actually get to kill her.
An inept, he killed 3 guys.
I know they could have maybe done it a different
Inept
way.
might not be the word,
Yeah.
but
I mean, there's lots
he
of
kills people for a living. plus 2. You have a
the
detective
sides- yeah.
finding a pearl earring, never to be heard from again.
But
just showing that she's alive.
did
But
you?
So somebody else was in the car and made it out alive.
And there's an actor, that actor, a Forster.
Forster, Robert
Forster,
Forster.
Robert
yeah.
Forster.
But he,
1 minute cameo.
yeah,
Did
but
you guys
people
see
wanna work with Lynch.
the girl with the pearl earring painting in
No.
Ruth's house?
No.
See,
When they're walking through the hall, there's a print of the girl with the pearl earring.
In whose house?
The aunt.
Oh,
Really?
oh, so were the dream home
with
they
the
live in?
Rita Hayworth poster as well,
Before
the
that,
Gilda
yeah.
poster. Yeah. So I mean, I think what they do is probably pepper in all the things in that are in her real life that find their way into her dream or into her drug-addled.
Okay, well that would explain
Dream.
the Thoreau wife fucking a pool guy.
Ri-
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Right.
What the shit?
I didn't know that. I'm like, I recognized him, but I couldn't place it as Billy Ray until I saw it afterwards.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
Billy Ray.
Yeah.
Gene.
I don't care what she did to you. Don't treat a woman like that.
Yeah, the blue box was weird.
The blue box, I didn't remember where they got it. It was just in her purse by
Yeah.
the end there.
Yeah.
But it's
Had
all
Well,
that
she had
kind
a
of
blue
stuff.
key, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the box appears,
And it was
like,
a weird triangle
this must
key.
go to each other.
And it was all just her dream was starting to fall apart at that point. Like they went into the house when they went in to see the Diane Selwyn and saw her body. You know, they come out screaming and they're all kind of distorted because that's obviously too close to reality. So it's like surprising that she wouldn't wake up right then. But then by the time they get to that point and discover the box and the blue key is the calling card of the killer, he was saying, "Hey, when I'm done with my job, I'm going to leave the key somewhere where I told you, and then you'll know it's done." So she keeps looking at that, and that's why she would be dreaming about that. And again, it's just her coming to face with what she did.
The epileptic seizure at the theater.
Oh, that was part of it too, because I think there's something that the singer, I don't know exactly what, but the singer was just making her.
It was when the lights started flashing. Is when she
Yeah.
started.
The
having-
thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
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 You have the old people laughing
The old people.
maniacally after they leave.
I remember
her.
those-
Then they're becoming tiny people coming out of the blue box.
The tiny people I don't get. I get them. I think they kind of represent like her, because she won that.
The jitterbug.
The jitterbug contest right in the beginning, right? But I think they're just like, it's like her innocence when, before when she did win the jitterbug contest. So it's just coming face to face with the monster that she is now, or whatever, her innocence finally getting the better of her. Why they became tiny, why they came out of the bag, why they crawled through, that doesn't make any sense to me, other than
Those are just a handful of
weird dream, like things like that happen in dreams, right?
Sure.
No one does dreams quite like David
Do you
Lynch.
dream? Do you remember your dreams?
I don't always.
I haven't remembered
when I do.
Yeah.
a dream in
Sometimes.
quite some time. Does that say something bad or good?
It says something. But when you said people don't do dreams like David Lynch, I think Nolan did a little bit better.
With Inception.
Inception.
Yeah,
Those are some better dreams.
yeah, but those are, but they weren't real. Like, yeah, I don't know. There wasn't anything. That didn't seem like a dream though.
True.
In Inception, like nothing about that really. He said like, oh, once they know that you don't belong here, the people like all kind of come after you. That doesn't. I've never had a dream like that. Whereas
That you
some of
remember.
the stuff, yeah, that's true. But some of the Lynch stuff, like I don't know, you have some weird things where it does like jolt you awake, or when it's too close to reality or something like that, it does cause you to almost get away from it. I do have that sensation. I think he does that pretty well.
Yeah. I will say the first time I saw this, I remember like watching it and just like not anticipating anything, and then when
It would be hard to anticipate what's coming.
the jump scare of the guy at the back of the diner, that did freak me out. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh,
That was on my list too. Like
That-
the guy behind the restaurant.
didn't know that was coming, didn't know why that was there. But then,
It's not even like a homeless person. I mean, it's like
I think it was supposed to be
full
but
on
it was-
monster
Yeah.
looking.
right.
Yes,
Whereas
I
I
agree.
paused it on him just to see, but I'm like, yeah, it is just a really like, filthy person, but
Yeah.
obviously it's supposed to be more, and it is in the dream. So
And then I really didn't like Justin Theroux.
yeah,
Dude, out of nowhere, I was like, okay, Thoreau.
he had top billing.
Yeah.
When I started the movie, I didn't realize that too. Like he was ahead of Naomi, and it's his first movie, right? And Naomi Watts too. Because I did watch an interview that they had of him, and David Lynch was saying, he's like, yeah, we got a really great cast, and he's like, something has to be somebody's first movie, and he's like,
not
or
technically
early
no,
discovered.
but yes, like he
Pretty
was
much.
he was in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
Okay,
but like cowboy is his character, so like I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, Dead Broke, whatever that is. But yeah, I mean, really,
but I think this was a breakout.
Mulholland Drive
but I
TV
agree.
movie in '99, and then Mulholland Drive in 2001.
Oh, there was a TV movie?
Yeah,
Actually got made? Oh, that's strange.
Yeah. I felt like he was such a sleazeball in this.
Yeah, sleazeball, but also just like not as. I mean, we've talked about it before. Brady, you watched The Leftovers?
I have not.
Oh, you have not. Yeah, Brady and I love The Leftovers. So good, and he's
Johnny of all the shows.
He's
you,
just a
you guys,
very.
You guys, I've heard you are actively looking for things to watch sometimes, and there are great shows.
Mountains
out
of
there.
shows out there.
There's some good dream-esque sequences in The Leftovers too.
Leftovers is a fucking weird ass show that is really, really good. And
Yeah,
if you
really
don't
well done.
trust Martin and I wholeheartedly to tell you what's good, then you aren't doing a good enough job.
But I was going to say Thoreau, is a very attractive person in The Leftovers,
Yeah.
and in this, it's just I don't know what it is. Is it because he's so young? Like he just doesn't seem like.
It's funny. I saw something where he supposedly was like very rushed and came in like with crazy hair and all in black. He cut off like a red eye or something. Like something happened. Whatever.
I think that works.
They hired him and they wrote the character to then to dress in all black and with disheveled hair or like crazy hair and like.
I mean, yeah, played it great.
But it's like, and that, I mean, I didn't even talk about the cowboy. Like,
I like the cowboy. I like that scene.
How does that tie into this dream?
She just saw a cowboy walking in the restaurant, and that just became
That was his house,
became a
I
thing.
think.
Was it his house?
In the background, yeah, where he walked by. The cowboy walked in the background.
Oh, okay. It was his house. No, I'm just saying I liked that whole scene. 'Cause the way he talks to him was great.
You're the one.
You didn't? You picked the quotes. I used one of his quotes.
Of course I did.
You know your audience. I guess you knew I was going to like it, but yeah, no. There are definitely a lot of the weird side scenes in this movie are better than some of the other weird things that happen in some other Lynch movies.
So, if I'm being honest and fair, I didn't like dislike the movie. It just is.
I know it's not. I know it's not your cup of tea.
Fucking weird to be enjoyable. Like I don't know if it's the right way to describe it, but I think it's trying too hard to be this like weird movie where, every thread pulls on a new thread type of thing, and it's like it does feel like maybe you're spot on. Maybe you've nailed it. Maybe that's exactly right. I don't know. The payoff doesn't seem totally worth it for me if that's really all it is. Like, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm just the wrong audience for it. I don't know that I think it's that good. I definitely won't watch it again. I have no interest to watch it again.
No, I kind of agree. Like, I wouldn't say I won't watch it again. I may on some fever-addled day that I'm sitting on the couch. I'm like, maybe I'm drugged up enough to understand what's going on. But it's weird that a movie would play this far for being as long as it was. Like, looking at the runtime
didn't help me either when I was like, I got to watch this. Oh, great. It's 2.5 hours.
It drags at points.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, now we're going to come out of it with the last 30 minutes. And we're going to flip the whole thing. Everything that you've seen makes no sense and ties in very loosely to the end.
I think he picked up on that and he threw another sex scene in just for. Let's just keep people.
We got to reel him back in. We've lost him.
Actually, you might like Lost Highway.
Hold on.
It's a good amount of Patricia Arquette sex scenes.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a very strange movie, and like you said, Brady, there's no clear delineation or clear.
I hate acting like I need that. I need like everything tied up in a bow. I don't want that to be the case, and I don't think that. Truthfully, that's how I think, because I do like shows or movies that do things well and leave things if they're open ended, but it's well done. Then I don't mind. Mm-hmm. But this just doesn't feel like it hit anything.
There's still too many threads that are just floating out there. Like they did try to tie them up, like you said, at the dinner scene where. You start seeing people around the table.
But you're inferring all that, in my opinion. You're not. They're not tying it up. You're just like, okay, well, I can now draw this conclusion
However you
because I
want.
saw a cowboy
and that's
back
his,
there.
that's his whole thing. Yeah,
Right. And so I'm like, I don't know that there is any resolution. There could be if you want to close some of those doors and be like, oh, there's a cowboy. That's probably why the cowboy was there. Oh, there's his mom. That's why
Right.
she was the landlady. Like,
There's the restaurant.
But there's no definitive answer to any of this stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
yeah, that's very true.
So, okay, this is one question. The guy who was on the stage in the red suit when they
that
go
was
to the theater,
actually the
he's
hotel
the landlord.
manager.
Yeah, the manager, right?
Yeah, he's the guy that came up and told him that the guy was looking for him or about the cowboy with the
Yes.
white big mustache.
Mustache, right?
Yeah.
That's the same guy. Mm-hmm. So, like,
He shouldn't have been able to be in both.
yeah, why is he two different people in the same dream?
Does that never happen? I'm going to be honest, I don't really remember
It
which
is
guy I talked
100%
about,
accurate.
But
He
I
was-
trust that you guys are saying it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He was the guy that came to Thoreau in the hotel and was like, "Hey, you need to go see the cowboy." This guy came and told me whatever.
They
his
said
name was.
your cards are maxed out.
Yeah,
Your
he's like-
bank, two guys
Okay.
from the bank said your cards are maxed out.
So he's in the dream. And then where was the other part in the dream?
And then when they go to the theater,
the theater. He's like the MC.
he's like, yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And then he introduces the woman who sings.
Just
They do say that everybody in your dream is somebody you've met before. Like whether it's just like someone you saw. So she just ran out of people.
She's got a
Ran out of people to pull
completely
into
elaborate
dreams.
world full of a million characters, except this guy's got to play two.
I think it just to me it makes sense because it just highlights the fact that you're not in reality, right? I mean, I thought I will admit the first time I saw it, I thought it made less sense than this viewing. So, and I still enjoyed it. There were still parts that I enjoyed, but I thought it was like, yeah, you're never going to figure it out. And back then there just weren't as many things to, ways to discuss and figure out what things are going on. But I think people have, talked about it through the years that maybe I've picked up on that too.
Yeah.
Other people's interpretations. But yeah, I don't know if I can recommend. I'm looking through his oeuvre of things, and I don't know that if you guys didn't enjoy Mulholland Drive, you're probably not going to like Lost Highway. Probably not going to like Blue Velvet. But Blue Velvet is another one that from 1986 with Isabella Rossellini and
Is Dennis Hopper in that?
and Dennis Hopper. Yeah, Dennis Hopper has the famous lines, famous like breakout character of that movie, and then Kyle MacLachlan too, who ended up
Twin Peaks.
ended up cast and
Dune.
Twin Peaks and Dune. Yeah, so he's a big fan of Lynch or vice versa. Yeah, there we go, guys. I made you watch a weird one. I got a cult movie in.
I mean, and when Lynch passed away, it felt like a momentous thing in the Hollywood annals. And we talked about it a little bit, and hence why we wanted to. This was on the radar that we should do something. And again, not having watched it, I was all for trying to.
Yeah.
I went in wanting to like it. It just was so fucked up. Couldn't even have predicted what I was getting into. But
I think it's fair. Like kind of going back to Jelani, what you opened the pod with, just like how. Yeah, why do people like this? I think it's safe to say that there's not going to be another director like him or mind like his that's going to be able to reach the level that he did, because it's so strange, and he makes these weird movies, but people watch them,
Well, I think we're
niche.
I think we're at a point right now where it's like a movie like this doesn't get made.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're not
Like-
going to get some. No one's going to give a
he had the
chance to
Twin
anybody
Peaks.
that's straight.
That was why. But
Yeah.
but again, keep in mind this was made for ABC and then got turned into a movie. Like
Yeah.
this might not have got made even in the moment. Like he just so happened to have the Twin Peaks success, which was able to get him making a pilot, which they turned into a movie, which turned into this non-cult. But
It's
big classic.
he has an unlikely path is all I'm saying, and that
That's
yeah
fair,
yeah
and accurate.
So as I think about this, like, do you think as filmmaking maybe becomes less an oligarch of, the big studios and,
Yeah.
people can actually, like, make them well done on, handheld devices and things like that. If that improves, that we would get something like this, and maybe even like an A24 might find a filmmaker who does something like this where they're like, yeah, we'll take a risk on that.
Yeah, I think it's just that you don't.
That doesn't feel like the way Hollywood's
You're not
going
to get a chance to develop. Like there could be some young filmmaker that, but he's just not even going to be given the chance to let his freak flag fly too much, unless it's in like straight horror.
And you have to like
that's what I
fund
feel
it.
like.
Yeah, you have to be able to. You have to find your footing elsewhere, and then get a chance to be like, "Here's my passion project."
Got it.
Yeah, Martin's 100% right. You have to work your way through. Get lucky enough to work your way in and through, probably through horror because the budget's low. Mm-hmm. Get a chance to be like, "Hey, we really like you. Like, what do you want to do next?" I actually have something, and then maybe that gets made without being torn to shreds or manipulated or changed so much. I think. As you say, I think, at least what I've heard and read, it just feel like actually less so now more than ever. Those
aren't happening.
Yeah. Right. It doesn't feel like there's no nurturing, right? Even in music, it's the same way. Like there's no money for artists to just like take their time and like go in a studio and maybe figure out how they want to make a song. It's all like, no, just give me a one hit. Give me a single, give me it right off the bat, polished, and we have to make it a hit right away. You don't you don't let an artist get to a third, fourth album before they hit their stride. You know, that's what they used to do, and I feel like the same way with directors or filmmakers. They're just not able to kind of find their voice and hit their stride.
But with that, let's take the film or the musician route, right? If you were just to say, hey, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to play clubs or I'm going to play shows, I'm going to do it all independently, like not sign with a label. Yes, it's going to be much harder, but...
You must be rich.
Yeah, right.
Well, right, but like you either have like a ton of backing behind it or you're just, you're trying to build a groundswell through social media, you're trying to, have a YouTube channel, you're selling ads or whatever. However you're getting that money. Could a filmmaker do the same thing where like, hey, I'm just going to make this movie, I'm going to show it to, the Downers Grove Film Festival or the...
I think you're more likely to... I bet that's not impossible. You will end up being like crowdsourced or finding maybe one or two
like a GoFundMe
bigger backers that will be like they can give you what you need, but you're going to have to do it on a lower budget. And we look at Justin Theroux, Naomi Watts, like that's fine. They weren't really anybody at this point, so like you could get them a lot cheaper. You're going to need to have people who haven't made it yet.
Yeah.
You're not gonna probably have a star. And it's safe to say if Justin Theroux's at the top of the billing, they weren't going overboard on cast.
Right.
He turned into somebody.
Dan Hedaya costs a lot of money though. And Robert Forster,
Dan Hedaya, Billy Ray Cyrus probably pulling down a check.
I think a good example or a good analog to this would be Talking Heads to go back to the music thing. Like
so funny you mentioned Talking Heads because I was like, that's another person I don't understand is David Byrne.
David Byrne, yeah.
Like
David Lynch and David Byrne, the Davids. What's going on with these guys? There's something similar. Like, yeah,
he just played at the SNL pre-concert.
Did he?
Him and Robin.
Yes. I saw him in the audience.
Him and Robin performed Dancing on My Own.
I would love to see that.
He had a Broadway show, right? Like a year ago?
He did, yeah. He did something. So he's just a strange dude making strange music. I love Talking Heads now. I didn't fully get him when I was younger, but now I love him. And there's part of me that loves David Lynch too.
Same as it ever was.
Very nice. And I just kind of lament that it doesn't feel like anyone's trying to develop anybody strange like this. Someone would take a look at David Byrne now and just be like, no, you're not Bieber. You're not.
I can't push this on TikTok.
I can't push this. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So whatever is what it is.
Yeah. The world we live in.
As always, we hope we never see your faces ever outside of a dream, but we would love to see you like, follow, and subscribe to our Film Fathers podcast, wherever you listen. Thanks. En silencio.